Welcome to another episode of Ray Eden's Magic in Helsinki. Right now we're sitting in Market Square across from the President's Castle. I'll show you that a little bit later. But today we are going to be taking a ferry to Suomenlinna, which is a castle, a military castle here in Helsinki. And let's go and see what we're going to find there today. So now we have to find the ticket office so we can get our tour tickets. Welcome to Suomenlinna. Swayboard. We'll talk about Swayboard a little bit later. And Viaboard. That's not. That must be it, huh? We're gonna go to the ticket office here, and we're gonna get our tickets for the 2:30 tour in English. So maybe we'll be able to learn a little bit more about the fortress. Turns out that was just the information center, so we have a 10-minute walk to the museum, and that's where we get the tickets for the tour. So let's head to the museum and get the tickets. They say that there's 800 people that actually live on this island. So how would you like to live at a tourist attraction?
You don't have your piece at all.
I can't think of anywhere that we have people living. I mean, Walt Disney used to live at Disneyland on the weekends or something. So the castle was started in the mid 1700s. I think it was like 1747 or 48. I don't know which of these walls are from that early. Maybe we'll find out on the walking tour. But the project was started by Sweden because Sweden had taken over control of Finland at that time. And they called the project Sveaborg, which is Swedish for Sweden's castle, I guess. Sweden's castle. The Finns really weren't that happy with speaking Swedish, and so they started calling it Viapori.
Yes.
Viapori. So that's the name that for most of the existence of this castle that this castle has lived under. And then in the early 1900s, 1917, Finland won its independence from Russia, for Russia's rule. And at that time, they took over control of this fortress, which had been controlled by the Russians before that. And that's when the name of Suomenlinna was given. Yeah.
Which means a Finnish castle.
Finnish Castle.
Yes.
Yeah. We're at the museum now, and so this should be the right place for us to be able to get the tour tickets. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll start exploring the island a bit more and seeing what there is to see, and then be back here at 2:30 for the tour in English. We're going to take some time and walk around the museum in here and take a look at some of the things. I was told that one of the most interesting things to look at in here is some of the military arsenal that was appropriated from the Russian military when this place was taken over by the Finnish government. So let's take a look at what we see. we've gone through this, and you might have noticed that there's a few swastikas here with the military paraphernalia. The reason for that is that a fellow by the name of Eric von Rosen, I'm actually reading this, a Swedish fellow, Eric von Rosen, he adopted this symbol from the Hindus, I imagine, because it's a good luck charm sign, and he used it as his personal symbol. He also developed airplanes, and he sold the first military aircraft to Finland, and that plane had the swastika on it. So when Finland saw that, they just adopted that symbol for the rest of their Air Force. It was a bit later that the Nazis, I'll just say a group, I'm not going to say the whole name, one of them was a friend of the same fellow, and he liked the symbol, and so they adopted it as well. Of course, when they adopted it, they took it and turned it on an angle, which changes its meaning from that good luck sign to a sign of conquer. But when you see the Finnish swastika, don't be alarmed. It's merely a good luck charm.
Called the Winter War, and it started in 1939 when the Soviet Union attacked Finland by bombing us without a war declaration, actually. And then the Winter War lasted for a few months, and after that we made peace with the Soviet Union, and in a few years started another war where actually Finland attacked Soviet Union with the help of the Germans. On the first day of Winter War, without a war declaration, Soviet Union started to bomb several Finnish cities. And this girl, whose name is Armi Metsäpelto, was actually the first official civilian casualty that died on the first day of the Winter War. And her picture was used in the press a lot, and it was also kind of like a propaganda win for Finland because with it, the Finland could say that, you see, Soviet Union is not only just a friend of the people, but that they are bombing civilians, which is always a bit questionable. Here are some of her items. She actually died at the corner of the Kiasma, right in the center. This is her dress, her doll. And right next to her, this item is, well, it has something to do with her because this is a bomb that's called, in Finnish, the bread basket of Molotov. So this is a bomb that contains smaller bombs that are the ones over there. And this is a Soviet bomb that was the first time used on that first day of the Winter War. And this is called the Molotov's bread basket because of the story behind this is that, well, Molotov was at the time an important minister of the Soviet Union, and he, in his speech, said that actually Soviet Union is not bombing Finland, but it is like giving food aid. And so the Finnish decided to call some of their weaponry, ironically, after Molotov. And of those, probably the most well-known is the Molotov cocktail. So this is a similar story to that. Finnish soldier Larry Thorne. His name was Lauri Törni, and he's a very interesting guy because first he fought in the Winter War and the Continuation War in Finnish army, but then he actually went to the German Waffen-SS troops, and then he went on to the US military. So a pretty interesting guy. So the story behind that is that in 1945 he went to serve to Germany because at that time, even though we had made peace with the Soviets, there was a very real threat that Soviet Union may still occupy Finland, and that was the big fear. So he went to get some more military training over there, but as we were already at war with the Germans, that was considered treason. And when he came back to Finland, he actually was condemned of treason and stayed in prison for a few years. And when he got out in 1950, he went to America and became a soldier there, and he became eventually a captain and served in the what it is, special forces. Yeah, and he changed his name to Larry Thorne over there. So if you look over here, his name over here is Larry Thorne. He also fought in the Vietnam War, and he was actually lost in 1965 during a helicopter accident.
Now, I'm not sure whether this is still in operation or not now, but behind me here is the jail that is found on this island. This island has been used as a prison facility for a while. I had thought that it had closed, but I'm hearing voices. Maybe it's still open. So here's the view from the other side of the island. When I say other side of the island, I really don't know which direction I mean. But this is the view that if the prison is still working, this is the view that the prisoners get. Right now, we're standing on what I believe to be the original wall. After all of these years, still here. While we're here by this wall, which I think is the original wall, I just wanted to mention that during the Crimean War, that happened between 1853 and 1856. That was the only time, really, that this fort was put under bombardment. And it was attacked by the English and the French. And that happened in August of 1855. And it's had some pretty heavy damage that it received at that point. After that, the fortress basically went into the decline. It decayed, no one was taking care of it anymore. Once Finland got the castle back, then they started refurbishing it, rebuilding it, getting it back to something that they could turn into a tourist attraction, and to turn it into what we see today. So some of these walls, I think some of these walls are still the original. Some of the stuff that we see in other places that has been repaired and made to look good for tourists. So, just a little bit more to know about Suomenlinna. All right, we're heading over to the submarine that they have dry docked that you can get into, and we have been promised that it is not air conditioned. So this is going to add to a lot of heat on an already hot day. Kind of a warm day today, sunny, very few clouds. Yesterday there were thunderstorms, and this is actually a very unusual summer for Finland. This is one of the warmest summers that we've had in the last few years. So a very nice day to be out, but it is hot. So we stopped at the Sun Terrace bar to get some drinks, just some soda. Oh, and there goes the straw. But I wanted to mention while we're here at one of these places, there are 11 locations here where you can get food or drinks. Some places like this one only serve drinks. There's one place that we stopped in, you'll see some video of that, where it was all specialty stuff that they make at their own brewery. And then they have some cafes here. They have a restaurant, I believe it's called Suku. I'll show you a link to that down below so you can see the Suku restaurant. And yeah, so there's a lot of area to walk around here. So you're going to need to have water. You're going to need drinks with you when you come to this place, especially if you're coming on a warm day like this. Take care of yourself. Keep hydrated. That's the advice I have for you. So we're heading now into King's Gate, and we'll talk a little bit more about the King's Gate once we get through it. So we're standing here now at the King's Gate, and we're standing in front of this text, which I will translate for you now. It says, "Progeny, stand here on your own foundation and do not rely on foreign help. And that was the motto that was put here when this was created as a fortress for Sweden in Finland. The King's Gate, this was created, I'm going to say, I'm not exactly not sure of exactly this, the date, but I'm guessing it was the late 1700s, early 1800s, when the King of Sweden came to Finland on a state visit. This whole area was built just for that one visit. It was never visited by a king again. But this is the King's Gate, and it still stands to that historic moment when Gustav came to Finland. I want to add something about this saying that's written here. The saying is that you're not to rely on someone else for your power, but rely on your own power. But keep in mind that this statement was coming from the Swedish king. And that power that was to be relied on, your power, was the Swedish government. That was your power that you were to rely on. We were walking through the area, we came upon this obelisk, and what it is a memorial to people that have died here on this island. Over here on this plaque are the names of people that died in 1937. They were in some sort of a military arsenal explosion. And so this is a memorial to those people that died on this island. And this obelisk, a memorial to people that have died, it looks like going back all the way to 1808 and forward to 1937. We're standing here in front of this plaque. The plaque was put up in 1921, if I understand it correctly. And this plaque is to honor Mr. Chapman. That's all I'm going to try to say, Mr. Chapman. And from what I understand from the plaque, this is the fella that was in charge of the Navy that was here at Suomenlinna. And I believe that this was during the 1800s. If I find out something different than that, I'll make a note here for you to see what the truth is. But for now, Mr. Chapman headed the Navy here at Suomenlinna. In 1991, Suomenlinna was made a World Heritage location. So if we read here, the fortress of Suomenlinna was included in the World Heritage List in 1991 as a unique monument of military architecture. UNESCO's Convention for the Protection of the World Cultural and Natural Heritage lists cultural and natural heritage of outstanding universal value, which should be protected by mankind as a whole. So as you can see, this location is an important one in Finland. We are sitting in front of Suomenlinna Kirkko, or the Finnish Castle's church. The interesting thing about the church is that it was built while this was under Russian occupation. It was built as an Orthodox church. Of course, when the Finns took control over it again, it was changed to a Lutheran church, which Lutheran is the state religion of Finland. In addition to the church, the Russians built barracks for the soldiers here, and that was basically their two contributions to the area, the church and the barracks. Okay, so that was our day at Suomenlinna. I hope you had some fun seeing what's here. These ancient walls here, several hundred years old, still intact from the original building, and just everything around here. Quite a lot of history to be seen in this place. If you like history, and especially military history, this is a place to visit while you're in Finland. Remember, if you like this video, tell me below that you liked it by clicking that like button. And remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And be sure to click on that bell icon so you're notified the next time I upload content. Until next time, remember to keep looking for the magic in Helsinki. One more thing that I wanted to add after our day here at Suomenlinna, and that is, have you been to Suomenlinna? What did you like the best about Suomenlinna? What did you see that we didn't talk about? Maybe there was, like the brewery. I just found out about the brewery and we have no time because they're closed. But if there's something that you liked, please leave a comment below. Tell us what you liked about Suomenlinna, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Hello, my name is Tori.
Hello, my name is Allison.
Hello, my name is Nikki. And we experienced the magic in Helsinki.
Perfect.